saying basically they're gonna come after any conscious rapper because it's a whole entity out here who have been put in place to make sure that they are anti-Black establishment. They are anti-Black people doing whatever we can to better ourselves. And there is an agenda that any Black leader that rises within our community will be taken out by any means. I mean, whether it's they stick the IRS on you until you bend, which that kind of happened to Lil Wayne, from what I'm hearing, what happened with him. But I don't got all the details because I try to tune out of TV. I don't watch TV or listen to the news or none of that. But anyway, bottom line is, yeah, they're going to come after any rapper that has the kind of influence that T.I. has, because he is the poster boy of, if I came from the gutter, you can come from the gutter and make it too. Jay-Z is would be the ultimate example of that happening, him coming from Marcy Project and whatnot. But to be honest, I don't see Jay-Z ever doing it because money rules him. So I ain't saying he no sellout, but I'm saying if it comes down to it, money is more important. Building his empire is more important than building a collective empire for Black people. His personal empire is more important than the collective empire or the collective kingdom that we're trying to build. So yeah, I mean, that's it. T.I., they're gonna definitely come out to T.I. They're gonna definitely come out to anybody who actually decides that they want to stand up and try to better Black people.
And one of the reasons why I want to ask you that, being a queen, because if I say, because I just did a video speaking on it, me being a man, I could say what they doing is wrong to T.I., but you being a Black queen, you saying it'll bring a different light to it, because they'll be like, well, you got to be sensitive to the sisters. When you a woman, you know how this go, so it'll come better from you than me, if that makes sense.
I feel you, because that only takes away one portion of the argument, though.
Exactly.
Same thing. It's BS. They only coming after T.I. because of what he is trying to do for the Black community, because he has said things about some of the biggest elements of anti-Black establishment, which would be the Gates family. And I mean, I'm talking about he's going after big wigs. It was okay as long as he was talking about Al Sharpton and the little bitty people who are insignificant in this game, all the little pawns and puppets. But he made a statement about Bill Gates a little while ago that I had seen. I think it was like a year before this pandemic. And
before what? I don't want to miss that. Before what?
He I think it had something to do with the burgers that I want to say Burger King.
I just want you to state that you did say plandemic, not pandemic.
Oh yeah, I definitely said plandemic. Definitely said plandemic. And I hope that people do hear it and catch it, because it's a plandemic, okay? If it was a real pandemic, 99% of us would be dead already. The way that we handled this, the way that people are out and about, I mean, come on now, the flu is more contagious than this, but I ain't no doctor, so I ain't gonna, don't hold me to that, but it definitely is a pandemic, just like the Capitol Hill and all the rest of that was planned. But if there are people who are, who benefit off of people's fear, because we went about masses, we went about, what toilet paper, whatever. So we wasn't even thinking about buying none of this stuff, you know? And we went and pumped money into the economy when this happened, because the economy, we was being real stingy. A lot of people wasn't buying. So when this happened, it forced us to go buy stocks and supplies and this and the other, which gave the economy a real huge boost during COVID-19. Now, they may talk about unemployment is low, it's high, and they may talk about, everything else. But when it comes to the money that we supplied the economy, they're not going to talk about that because they just made a lot of money off us with this whole thing. But yeah, definitely pandemic. And just getting back to what I was saying, at this point, anybody who speaks up and decides that they want to be any kind of leader in the Black community is a direct target, and it has not changed. This is the reason why we don't have any Malcolms anymore, why we don't have any Martins anymore, why we don't have any Medgar Evers and all this. These are the people that they wanted to stump out. These type of brilliant minds that could stand up and be a leader in our community, they try to wipe them out. And then they try to dumb us down where it would never happen again. But that spirit lives in a lot of us. And there's a lot of us who will rebel. And we're going to use whatever method we possibly can to do it. If that means using our music, if that means using whatever other skills that we may have. But like I said, music is such a huge influence in the Black community. We've been using music. Sam Cooke was using music to fund the Civil Rights Movement, which also he is not alive anymore either. So he used a whole bunch of his money to fund the Civil Rights Movement. A lot of people don't know that about Sam Cooke. And then he ended up dead. So either they silence you, they discredit you, or you end up dead if they can't control you. But all of this is about suppressing the African-American community to make sure that we never get to a state where we're equal with them, especially not financially. They want to make sure that we economically deprived in any way that is possible, whether it be counseling, cutting us out of the jobs, cutting us out of loans, redlining us, whatever it is, whatever method systems they have. But one main thing that they realize that works with Black people is music. Anybody who has studied our culture can tell you that. It doesn't even really take a genius to even realize it. We brought that over from Africa, and we have never strayed away from our music. So in order to control us consciously, they have to control the music. In order to control the music, they have to control the artists. And if the artists don't comply, then they do whatever they can to discredit them, which is probably what's getting ready to go on with T.I. And yes, I am saying that it is them using a tactic to discredit this man. T.I. don't have to hold no female at gunpoint, period. It don't even make sense. And then they're gonna conjure up about 20 females to say the same thing, which are all gonna be paid. And I don't know what T.I. done did to piss them off, Illuminati, whoever. But he done pissed somebody off. And they gonna see to it that his credibility is shot. And there ain't a whole lot you gotta do to shoot T.I. credibility down because he's a trap star. You could discredit him any kind of way. I'm surprised they ain't put no gun charges on him or put no drugs on him. They going to a whole extent. He must have really cleaned his life up. They got to go do all of that, find some random thought somewhere to say that he done raped them or did whatever. Man, ain't did that, man. Nah, I don't believe it.
I'm going to ask you one more question, then we'll get up out of here. What do you think about the people the plants that they put in our community who look like us, who they pay off in, like, even with this situation or with these fake elections and stuff like that? What's your thoughts on that? And then we'll get on up out of here.
What, on agents in our community, people infiltrating our community?
Basically.
That's been happening since the beginning of time. They say Du Bois was a informant for Marcus Garvey. You know, he was an FBI informant that was paid to take Marcus Garvey out. Of course, we know the Panthers had been infiltrated, and so was the Nation of Islam was infiltrated. They always have to find some kind of way to get in the mix in our culture. And because at one point, Black people was hella smart, we knew not to let nobody in you had to have a Black card. You know what I mean? You had to have a Black pass and approval to be a part of our culture. We wouldn't let just anybody be a part of our culture. We wouldn't let anybody copy our culture. So they always had to use one of us to defeat us because we had it so tight knit that could nobody just act black as they would say. Nobody could just get in where they fit in with the Black community. you had to have a rites of passage to get in here. Especially if you was white, you had to have soul. We'll be like, he can get in. He got, he got soul. She got a little soul. She can get in. You had to have soul to be a part of our class, a part of our community. So in order for us to trust people, you had to first have a black face. So they always have used our own people to try to get in and maneuver to basically break everything apart. They had to dismantle the Panther Party that same way because they wasn't just letting anybody be a part of that. And with that being said, I'm seeing a lot, just to bring it back to the hip hop part, I'm seeing a lot of that go on. I ain't gonna lie, they broke through hip hop because we was real protective over hip hop. Hip hop was our last baby that we created. They had already took rock and roll from us. They had already taken shit. A lot of people don't even know we came up with country music. Country music was when the slaves used to turn the violin around and pluck it, like a fiddle. And if you look at some of the slave movies, you're gonna always see a fiddler in there playing a little, banjo or playing the violin turned up, pricking it. Okay, that's country music. That's the roots of country music. So they have stolen almost every music that we have brought to the world to share with the world. And then you get to rap. We ain't made nothing since rap. There is no new music that Black people have put out since rap. And so we were very, very protective of who we let in the rap game. And Black women couldn't even get in the rap game until, Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown. We had a few Black women who were in there. MC Lyte and Queen Latifah made their way in. But once they got in, it was like, all right, that's enough females in there. We ain't let no more women in either. So we were very, very protective about rap. And then you had Vanilla Ice who tried to slide in there. You know what I mean? And we found out he was a fake. We was going to accept him because he could dance. Vanilla Ice could dance. He was going, toe to toe with Hammer at the time. That was his only competitor, or whatever. And true enough, he was still a lot of Hammer dances, but he could do it. We couldn't find, at that point, it wasn't no white people who could even move like we move, because you got to have soul to move like that. You got to have melanin to make those kind of moves, or even to rap. And so we were like, nah. After Vanilla Ice, we was like, y'all almost got us, but we ain't let nobody else in here because they all fake. Then Eminem came along about 10, 15 years later. And so we let him in because Eminem seemed to have the same background, same story. He came from poverty. He lived in the slum somewhere. He had a single mom and all, it was almost a lot of similarities with the Black experience. So, and he showed a little soul and he could rhyme. And he wrote his own rhymes, which at the time that was big too. It wasn't no ghost writers like that. We didn't even allow that. You couldn't, if you ain't write your own rhymes, you couldn't be no rapper. I don't know what this new stuff is, but you could not hold the title of a rapper if you could not write your own rhymes. What would you rapping for? That's like an architect that don't know how to make a blueprint. You know what I mean? So at one point in time, you couldn't even get in the rap game if you could not rap. Eminem could write his own rhymes. He had a little soul and he came from the same background. But that was a mistake for us to let him in. Not because of Eminem did anything to sell us out. To my knowledge, Eminem ain't never disrespected the Black culture. But when we let him in, that's when it opened the floodgate for the rest of them to start coming in. Okay, and they used that on purpose. Eminem knew that they was going to use him to break the barrier of letting white rappers into the game. He knew that. But at the same time, he wasn't really necessarily playing off of it for his own gain and benefit. He always turned around and gave the credit back to this ain't my music. Gave the credit back to the founders of it, to Black people. But these new rappers that's coming in, these new white rappers that's coming in, like you had Iggy, so disrespectful, Iggy was so disrespectful to the Black culture, it wasn't even funny. But she was able to make it in because she had big lips and she had a big butt and she used Black people as a prop in her video. And they always use these little tricks. They'll put Black people in the video surrounding, like they at the party, they at the club with them. Because when we see them Black people in the video, we be like, oh, they all right, they got some Black people with them, so we allow them to come in. These are all props. These are things that are props or whatever. These are things that they're using in order to make us accept these artists. But you got some artists like Post Malone and all them, man, we would have never let, who was the other little snitch, the little rat? What was
Takashi.
his name? Yeah, man, we would have never let him in the game. Is you serious? If Pac was alive, that dude wouldn't even have no freaking career. And that's why we don't have no checks and balances either. Because Pac pretty much can make or break your career. If he said you was phony, then your career was over. He almost broke heavyweight competition career. Jay-Z at the time, he almost ruined his career, almost ruined Nas, Mobb Deep. A lot of folks from the South wouldn't even, and West Coast wouldn't even fool with Biggie just because Pac didn't like him. You know what I'm saying? But we don't have any checks and balances. We don't have nobody calling nobody out no more when they come in the game. You got to come through the veterans of the game first before you can come in doing all this net. And these new rappers don't respect the veterans at all. So that's how they coming in with the trash. That's how they coming in and infiltrating the rap game with a lot of these watered down rappers. But not only that, with rappers that don't fit our culture. And then next thing you know, rap will not be a part of our culture anymore. They're already trying to make some of these white rappers the best rappers that ever lived. I'm like, how are they gonna be the best rappers that ever lived? Now I know some dudes on the street right now that can out-rap them and write their own rhymes. So with that being said, yeah, that's what we moving to. They moving to removing the culture from us, and they are infiltrating the culture. And if we don't stop it and don't get a handle on it, then we won't have a culture. Everything that belongs to us is being removed. And even to our music, we can't even have control of our own music no more. If it wasn't for us, the world wouldn't even have no music. And that's just to be real, that's not even an exaggeration. So yeah, I mean, that's my take on it. That's what I feel about it.
Man, this is the Deprogram show. This is the king talking to the queen, and we out.